Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Commuters podcast. Right back here on Zoom, I, of course, am your host, Austin Cairns, joined here with my co host, Downtown Nicholas Brown. And wow, what an episode we have prepared for you guys today. Unfortunately, we've been on Zoom for the last couple weeks. We'll be back in studio actually next week, joined by a very special guest, which I'm personally excited for. I'm not going to give any names yet, but let's just say he is a former two Jagoffs guest, making his Steel City Commuters debut. So more of the cross branding and cross episodes are going to come over, of course, going into the 2026 year. But with that all being said, Nicholas Brown, how's it going over there in New Kensington for you? Treating you right? You're in that Reebok shirt, I see.
He's going well. Love Reebok. I mean, what don't
Yes,
you like about Reebok and Adidas and Nike and all the brands? You got to support them.
of course.
What the hell are you talking about? My Reebok shirt. This is a different shirt. Not many people know that I own Reebok.
Let me see the full shirt. Like, go back a little bit. See the whole thing. Oh, there it is. I like that shirt. I'd wear that.
Okay, maybe you'll get one for Christmas if you've been a good little boy.
Nah, I'm on the naughty list. I already know
Well,
it.
I know. I just checked the list and your name was on the naughty list.
Did you check it twice, damn it?
I did. Lucas's name was actually on the good side.
I do not believe that for a single solitary second.
His name was actually on the good side.
Well, you know what? Be that as it may, but ladies and gentlemen, we have a great episode of Steel City Commuters for you guys today. A lot of topics to get into, a lot of NFL subjects to actually cover in today's episode. But before we get into that, we'll do our weekly recap of the previous two Jagoffs interview and Steel City Commuters episode. Nothing too crazy last week on Steel City. We were on Zoom. We did episode 52. We talked about our Duquesne club experience. We talked about a lot that was going on in our personal lives. So I feel like this would be a good transition into what we did this upcoming week. So, Nick, I'm going to go to you on this one first. We did a lot this past weekend. I was, of course, at a wrestling event. Go figure. You, of course, were at a bingo event.
Go figure.
Go figure. But the one defining factor that made both of our experiences interesting was the weather. The Pittsburgh weather. I'm specifically speaking about the snow here. The snow in Pittsburgh was bad. And I know Nicholas Brown is going to break it down a little more in depth for us. So, Nick, I'm going to bounce this over to you. First and foremost, tell me about your bingo experience and then tell me about how the snow affected it.
So this was Saturday. The forecast was up in the air of if the snow is coming, is it actually going to be all snow? Is there going to be a mix? How much? You going to get under the ban? If no, are you getting the criteria for a warning? And it did snow. I, though, only had about a 25-minute drive from my house to the actual bingo place. I got there, there was no issues. By the time we left bingo at 7:30, 8 o'clock, roads were absolutely covered. Roads were covered everywhere from the bingo all the way to my house. Roads were clear. I did not see the pavement at all that much. And we actually got what was forecasted, anywhere between 5 to 8 inches. We know if you were in city of Pittsburgh on south, you were going to receive more. City of Pittsburgh on north, you were going to receive less. But again, if you got under that band, Austin, there we go. Talking about the band. If you got under the band, you were going to get a lot. You were going to get like an inch more, another inch or two overperforming. Well, it seems that Allegheny County was in that band and got a little bit overperformer. So for the majority of the area, Pittsburgh on south, general 5 to 6 to about 8 inches of snow fell. Of course, more in the mountains. Up further north you went, got a little less. We got about 5 to 6 inches here at my house because we were under the band and it just kept coming down at a decent pace. I went to bed Saturday night, was fine. Woke up Sunday morning, whole different atmosphere. There was people getting stuck on the hills the night before. Even Sunday morning roads were a little bit treacherous, and even the road conditions still today, as we're recording this Monday night, was not actually that great. You had a whole different experience because you were in the city, and we know the city just really doesn't treat. And so you have a whole different experience from snow-covered roadways to snow-covered bridges to maybe a decent spot here and there. And that's where it all goes down south, especially if you're in the city and you're in neighboring hoods. So like Bethel Park, if you go down south, 51, that's a whole different atmosphere compared to like Lincoln, Leamington, the north side, Bellevue. There's a whole different atmosphere depending on which part of the city you're in. And you were in Allentown?
South side.
South side. You were in the south side, so that's a whole different atmosphere there.
Yeah, I was in the South Side this past Saturday for Enjoy Wrestling's final show of the year. Of course, Paul London was in the main event, Mikey Montgomery, our boys BSJ, Casey War, MV Young, Duke Davis, Gannon Jones Jr., some guy named John. A lot of the former two Jagoffs guests and future two Jagoffs guests were there. And what an event it was. It was incredible. But speaking outside of the wrestling and in terms of the snow and the weather, like Nick Brown was saying, I'll be honest with you, I was actually having a bit of a fun Saturday night. I actually took two different buses down to the city, and Nick knows this because I was on the phone with him beforehand. I took the G2 into the city. I got off right around our normal Wood Street stop, and then I hopped on the 51 and got off at I think it was 18th and Josephine Street, which is like right like I think it's the second stop in the South Side, so it's not that bad. Got off there, kind of explored the city a little bit. I went to a Burger King, grabbed something to eat real quick because it was cheap. It was like literally right there, and it was a snowstorm. And then I went to one of the bars just to explore a little bit. I'm 21, so I wanted to see. Well, now I'm 22, but I wanted to see what the bars were like. And then after that was over, I went down to the actual event itself. And I gotta tell you, Nick, at this point in time, the roads were completely covered, and we're talking like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. So it's not like it's really that late. It was still relatively early within the day. It was just starting to get dark. So as I'm walking through the south side, the roads are covered, the sidewalks are covered, there's no plows, there's no snow, no salt, no nothing. So I finally make my way to the Velman Fermentation Center, which is where Enjoy was. And of course, since I took two buses down there, Kevin, our good buddy Kevin, friend of the show, who's been on here twice, actually came and picked me up. With that being said, the roads were awful. All the ways through the south side, across the 10th Street Bridge, through Boulevard of the Allies, the city, the Parkway, Fort Pitt Bridge. It was a train wreck. It was a train wreck getting all the ways back here in the Carnegie where I live. And I kind of regretted a little bit going out that night. I kind of wish I would have stayed back with the fam. But at the same time, I'm glad I went out because I got to enjoy myself and I got to hang out with a lot of the wrestling buddies, support indie wrestling, which was good. They already had a bad show as is, just because a lot of things didn't go according to plan. But I haven't been to enjoying a minute. I was not gonna say no to a free show. So I'm glad I went. But dude, that weather was bad. I mean, you can speak from experience too, because I know you were out with Bingo. But my gosh, it was bad.
Take a look. I'm going to show this picture. This Monday afternoon. This was in Overbrook. Maury Griffin. We're not even
Wow,
touched.
wow.
Here, we can show more. This was the hospital in Oakland this afternoon. That's what
Ouch.
Oakland looked like.
Look at those roads. That's bad.
What's another one? Lincoln Place. Hey, anybody waiting on a delivery? Have good luck. You may get your
Yeah,
package. The package may be at the bottom of the hill. Brighton Road. This is on the north side.
that's also pretty bad. That's very bad, actually.
There was this concern because Pittsburgh Public, this is how they framed it. Pittsburgh Public issued a 2-hour delay last night, I believe, for icy road conditions. Not snow,
Hmm.
no, not snow covered, not inclement weather. In their post, it specifically said icy road conditions. The amount of comments on that post this morning that said, "Sorry, I'm keeping my child home. I have to drive to two different schools," or saying, "Hey, my road wasn't touched." Pittsburgh Public should be ashamed of themselves. There was an article this afternoon from Pittsburgh Public Works Department that came out and said, "Oh, I don't know what you people are talking about. I thought we cleared the roads and everything was good." I'm sorry, I don't know what roads you cleared. You might have cleared the Parkway, but you surely didn't clear downtown
No,
because I think downtown this morning was also snow covered.
it was. I was not downtown this morning, but I know a lot of people that live in the city. I actually work with some people down at Friendly Paws. And Nick, from what I heard, those roads were awful. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it was like 11 degrees at like 6 a.m. this morning.
Yes.
And I got up at 5:30, so like I was right there at work all morning, and dude, it was so cold. The roads were so bad. My mom's car actually didn't start this morning. My dad had to drive my mom to work. I don't even think I told you this off camera. My mom actually had to get a ride to work this morning. I had to go pick her up around 4 o'clock myself, just because of how bad the roads were and how much it affected the cars and just everything. It was not a good day. Not a good day whatsoever.
This seems that this happens every time it snows, that Pittsburgh Public either falls apart, certain roads don't get cleared, there seems to be issues within the community. I'm very curious on how Corey O'Connor accepts this change and how this now comes into his hands in January because this was definitely a snowy December. But how does he take this criticism and improve it even better?
And you know what? That's a great point you bring up. And without getting too political here, I'll say this. I know Mayor Ed Gainey has faced a lot of scrutiny. This is one of the many reasons why people voted for Corey O'Connor because they wanted that much needed change. They feel like he's for the people. They feel like he will make the decisions that will help better communities and help better living situations. And what better living situation could you improve on than this snowstorm or any kind of weather impact in your community?
I'm very curious though too, that when Gainey or whenever Gainey departs and Corey O'Connor actually takes on this new position, how is he actually going to be able to manage the budget? There seems to be some concern that Pittsburgh is running low on salt. Trucks are breaking down. They don't have enough crews. From my understanding, Austin, that overtime this weekend was it's questionable. I mean, not many people. It was either you come in and you got overtime, or it was either you didn't come in. I think issuing this statement, this was from um, Pittsburgh Public Works Director Chris Hornstein. He said this morning, virtually all streets have been treated. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
Chris. I don't think so, from what I understand, from the pictures that I have showed on this podcast. If you talk about streets that are treated, there's a difference between treated, non-treated, okay, treated, and then covered up once again. Austin, those pictures to me look like they weren't even touched. And if they were touched, salt didn't do a damn thing.
No.
And I don't know. There's this virtual signal inside downtown, inside the county office that I'm understanding is that they don't have enough manpower, they don't have enough salt, and trucks are breaking down left and right. Okay, well you set aside money for the budget and you go fix the trucks. You go fix what you're being paid to do because this can't continue to happen every single snowstorm because at some point you're not even going to be able to get down the hill. You're not even going to get down the parkway. If you know really think the city of Pittsburgh needs to do a lot better. We can speak from experience. We're in downtown. They don't even treat downtown because they say it's quote unquote flat and the car traffic will just continue to help mitigate the delays. Well, sorry, but that's total BS because it's slippery no matter what. Even if it is treated, it's still slippery.
Yeah.
So, not very happy with the city of Pittsburgh. I'm just glad I didn't have to go in. I could stay away from the city because once a snowstorm hits the city, you're stranded for the next 48 hours, 2 days, maybe three, maybe four.
Yeah, let's just be glad that we're only going down. I'm only going down there like 2 or 3 days this week, and you only have to be down there one. That's a thank goodness.
Then it's back to 55. I guess there's this warm up period.
Yeah, which is interesting. Very interesting. Speaking a little bit differently from that, though, not only was there a snowstorm this past weekend, not only did we have a lot of interesting things that happened to us last week. I'll get into the wrestling side of things here in a second, but the biggest thing that came out of both of our lives last week was actually our finals. Point Park University finally put an end to the semester. I know you're feeling burned out, Nick. I'm not really feeling as burned out as you are, just 'cause I'm a senior. I'm kind of already used to it now. I've gotten through the burnout phase. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because I know we have like four more topics, big topics that we want to get into, especially sports related. But real quick, just give me a little rundown of the semester. Are you glad it's over? What do you think about finals finally happening?
Definitely glad it's over. Finals this semester really weren't challenging. There was a lot. There was really only two in person. I had a Camille Downing. Congrats to Camille because she probably will listen to this on her retirement. So
Congrats,
shout
Camille.
out to you, Camille Downing. And I had a broadcast announcing with David Fabilli. Other than that, my final in person for Robin's class was, and I know Robin will probably be listening to this, is our video project. That was probably really fun to create. I did mine on two Jagoffs. Oh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, figure.
And shout out to Andy Conti for no final. That's the OG. Showing up and listening to some to Beth is it May? Beth Myers? I don't know. Somebody uh book artist, book reader within the area with that wrote a book that's a New York Times columnist, Washington Post columnist. That was our final. That honestly, that was like a nice little break. I just don't understand the point of finals. Like you're already burned out through the semester. You're already being nailed, and so once finals week comes, that's the time to pack up. This is the time to leave town. This is the time to spend with your family. I'm not a big finals person, so this was a little bit of a struggle, but I'm glad it's over.
Couldn't agree more in downtown Nick Brown. I'm glad the finals are over too. My finals weren't as bad as yours were per se. A lot of project-based ones as well. One of them was my internship, which was easy enough. I just did 880 wrestling, so that was pretty easy. But outside of that, I had one online course and three in person. One of them was with you, DJ Fabilia, of course. Oh, I just smacked a mic. DJ Fabilia, of course. I had my 6 to 9 on Monday with Edward Mina, and then I had my sports photo and video class, which, by the way, Philip Havley, I highly doubt you're listening to this episode, but if you are, thank you so much for always letting me depart your class early so I can be on time for 880. I really appreciate that. You don't know how much it means to me. It really does. Speaking of 880, I don't want to spend too much time on wrestling today, Nick Brown, because I feel like we've been talking a lot of wrestling recently, and I know we're going to be talking more about it with like future guests and stuff that we have on Two Jagoffs. I gotta mention one thing though. Did you see what I posted on Instagram this week on what happened to me at 880 this past Thursday?
Weren't you a judge?
Mm-hmm. I was a judge. So
Judge Carnes?
I guess so. I was doing my normal commentary duties, of course, with Toddy Tondera at ringside. And we were obviously commentating Reese Hayes having an open challenge for his hardcore title. Long story short, Adrian Kirsch accepted. Reese Hayes changed the rules to a pure rules match, which means that it's obviously pure rules. There's three judges that come out to make sure everything's being fair, yada, yada, yada. And the judges that Reese Hayes chose was some guy named John, Marco Narciso, of course, 2 leaders by example, and me. Now, why was I chosen as the judge when I was supposed to be on commentary with Toddy? I don't know, be that as it may, but I was. I got ripped out of commentary. John put his arm around me, and I got literally bullied for 10 minutes straight. I got yelled at. I got cussed at. I got my hands put on me. He gave me a noogie on my head. You ever been given a noogie before, Nick
Yes.
Brown? Yeah, it hurts. He gave me a noogie. It was not a fun experience. Marco was hitting on Reese the whole time. I don't know what that was about. But again, be that as it may, I don't understand what's going on. I really don't. I hope this Thursday in Allentown will be fine, but we'll see.
I have to get to Allentown. Now that it's heated, I don't have to worry about freezing. But
It's nice down there.
you were a judge. It's
Yes.
interesting how this all came about. Shout out to the leaders, I guess. I don't know. This whole situation just sounds smelly to me. It's just weird and
Oh,
nobody will ever understand.
sorry. I'm trying to readjust my chair while we're sitting here.
Oh God.
Don't stop. Oh, God, me.
Fine. If you want to readjust your chair, I will take over the episode. This is a Nick Brown carries.
Nick Brown cares. Oh, God. This episode will go down the drain. Anywho, though, distancing ourselves from some guy named John. In terms of future episodes, of course, don't forget this upcoming week, we have a special guest on Steel City Commuters. Oh, excuse me. I'm excited for it. It's going to be Nick Brown, myself, and I don't want to reveal who just yet, but like I said earlier, former Two Jagoffs guest, you're not going to want to miss it. This upcoming Sunday on Two Jagoffs, Sammy Suntimer and Aleo Dreams, Psychedelic Dreams, two of the guys that you met, Nick Brown, for your first time when you came to 880 a couple weeks back. They will be joining me on Two Jagoffs, my second time ever interviewing two people at once. The first, of course, was Katie and Derek, which I find funny that you were there for both of the people that I co-interviewed. I thought that was pretty funny. But outside of that, yeah, that episode will be coming out on Sunday. And then this past Sunday, we had Brandon St. James on. So BSJs is currently streaming on platforms. I'll bounce this over to downtown Nick Brown before we get to their NFL segment. Nick, what do you think about all those episodes?
Let's just say that there's a very special guest that makes an appearance in
Mm.
psychedelic dreams. Because I was
Yeah,
actually in person for this one. It's a really, really good guest. Don't want to reveal it too much, but he makes a surprise appearance and he actually is on camera for somehow he was able to fit in the camera. I have no idea what the hell this one's doing. Anyways,
sorry, I have something stuck on my foot.
oh jeez. Anyways, Brandon St. James, Satan's favorite saint was a fantastic episode. See, I know what's going on here about time.
Okay, there you go.
Brandon was very well. He kind of talked about his wrestling business. He actually said you were cool. I thought that was something to
I
admit.
am cool.
Thought that was very interesting to admit on camera. Given his character in wrestling and 880 and IWC and all, and enjoying all the different characters and roles that he plays, how he kind of portrayed and took a little bit of each and kind of brought that to the episode. It was very interesting. Don't want to talk about too much of it because I know we will be doing a bonus episode of it all within the next few
Yes.
days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. It's going to be a great episode. A lot of wrestlers to talk about in that. But again, we'll shy away from the wrestling topic. We'll get to our number one sports that we both love talking about so very much. That, of course, being the NFL, and that's going to wrap things up today. We will have a new weekly predictions episode as well this upcoming Thursday on Two Jagoffs 2, so don't forget to tune into that. NFL, though, my friend. I feel like you know where I'm going with this. We got to start with your team first. It's literally the team that everybody has been waiting for, and then we'll talk about some other teams. But the Dallas Cowboys. Last week, we talked about their matchup against the Minnesota Vikings, and you laid out the law for us, Nick Brown. You gave us your Dallas Cowboy odds. I just want to remind you of the bet we had. If the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl, Austin Cairns shaves his head bald live on an episode. If the Cowboys make it to the playoffs but lose in the Super Bowl, or lose in the playoffs, excuse me, Nick Brown would be rocking a mohawk. As of right now, it doesn't seem like either one of those bets are going to happen or come to fruition because at this current point in time, this current juncture, the Cowboys have a 1. Nick is holding up the number 1, a 1% chance of making the playoffs. Last week it was 8. With the loss to J.J. McCarthy, they're down to 1. There's still hope, Nick Brown, but it's that single little one that you're holding up.
You
Give
had
me the
one
new
job.
Cow. Oh, okay. We'll just go right into it. Give me the Cowboys odds. Let's talk about this.
You had one job. It was to win Sunday night. It was prime time. You had one job. You had to win and hope that the Eagles lost. Well, Eagles didn't lose, and you also lost, so that complicates the picture. For them to make it into the playoffs, Eagles need to lose the remaining 3, and Cowboys need to win out. I'm going to tell you this right now. That's not happening. Not
Oh,
happening. There will be a Christmas miracle if that happens, but the Eagles definitely have to lose out, and I don't see them losing out unless because they have already made it to the playoffs. Well, I don't even think they're guaranteed a spot. They would rest all their starters. That is not happening. You can count Dallas out this year. It's done with. It's over with. Brian Schottenheimer had a great year, but I'm just not sold on Dak Prescott, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson, Flournoy. I'm not sold on it after this season. It was very depressing for the second half. They got off to a rocky start, and this is how they always end up. They always end up relying on another team, but it happens. You have a new head coach. That is the most important part. But when you have an owner too that likes to interfere, this is what's going to happen. So to say that I'm surprised, I'm not. And to say that I'm disappointed, I'm not, because I knew this was going to come. I thought there was going to be some hope left, but you can kind of kiss that star goodnight. The star is no longer shining bright. The star has been covered up.
wow. Okay. Well, that's a statement. So the star is covered up. It's gone. Kapoof. Goodbye. That's what we're saying?
It's done. You could throw
Dunzo.
that star in the garbage. It's
So
not
can
guiding
we
your way tonight.
the listeners are clearly listening for a new probability. So as of this point in time, going into week 16, what is the Cowboys Super Bowl
Big
odds?
fat zero.
We're at a rockin' 0 now?
Or to rock and zero. You can kiss that star goodnight. You can kiss anything related to the Cowboys goodnight.
So we're not even gonna give any chance next
Nope.
week. So next week it won't be any. Okay.
Unless
Be
there's like a Christmas miracle that happens.
There
But
ain't no Christmas miracle happening.
exactly. So they're done. Good night. Pick a new
Listen,
team to ponder.
well, don't worry. There's plenty of them, and I'm looking at the Steelers right now. It's my next team to get on. But no, the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, Nick. I mean, they had a solid season. I mean, better than what I expected. But at the end of the day, this is the Cowboys. We're going on 30 straight years of them not making the Super Bowl. And I don't want to pity on the team when they're already down. But like, this is a team that had so many games this year they should have won, or they should have at least had a little bit of a closer score in, and they didn't. So I feel like this is a good learning year for them. Cam Newton actually said it best on First Take earlier today. This is a good year for the Cowboys in the terms that we know who they are. We know what their identity is. We know that they have defensive struggles. We know that they have offensive line issues they can fix. We know that Dak Prescott is established. We know that they have a receiving core. We know they have a competent head coach. We know they have a team that they can work with, but they can't work, but they also need to work on. That's what they need to do with this team. So The Cowboys going into the offseason will be one of the most interesting tales compared to other teams, but my goodness, they are far from the Super Bowl.
Get rid of Matt Eberflus. That will help solve a problem.
That will definitely be a good step one. I totally agree with you on that.
But I
I,
don't know. Is Dak really the answer? Because this is another lackluster performance. When you pay someone all this money, there's no results. If you don't pay, how can you pay someone so much goddamn money and in the end they don't come up with any results? That just doesn't make any sense. They're paying you so much money to find a way to win. Well, if you can't find a way to win, then you don't deserve the money. That's how it goes here. Just like me on TV. If I'm on TV and I'm not delivering the views, you can kiss my contract goodbye and my ass right out the door.
no, I agree with you, Nick. I mean, like again, the Dak Prescott situation is interesting because they paid him so much money, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, and he can't even capitalize on a single playoff victory or playoff berth. The last time that he was in the playoffs, he got blown out by Green Bay. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they need to find their footing somehow, some way. But again, this is the thing I've been telling you all season long. The Dallas Cowboys can't be a Super Bowl contender if their quarterback can't even make it to the playoffs. That's my biggest issue and my biggest critique with them. So going into the offseason, I don't know if I would go as far as to say Dak isn't the answer. But going into the offseason, I would definitely start saying maybe we should start bringing in competition or maybe start looking in other directions because maybe he's not the guy. But here's the issue with the Cowboys. They screwed themselves with that contract. So they're kind of stuck with him if you think about it. That's their only issue. They're stuck with him.
It's sad that America's favorite team can't even pull off the hottest 6-7 trend right now because you got to tie to the goddamn Green Bay Packers.
I mean, when you put it like that, that's one thing. Are we doing it?
Somebody has to. Tonight, as the Dolphins were entering Pittsburgh, they were actually 6 and
They
7.
were. They were 6-7. I want to talk about another team though. I'm
Your
actually very
Cardinals?
disappointed.
Because that's
I
another
d-
disappointment.
they've been a disappointment since week 4, my friend. But no, another team that I would like to talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. This is a team that is the reigning AFC champions. This is a team that has not missed a playoff since, correct me if I'm wrong, 2014, Nick Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2014.
2012, 2014 era.
Yeah, that was the last time the Chiefs missed the playoffs.
Yes.
They have missed the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes is now ruled done for the year after an ACL injury, which was so unfortunate. I'm sending all my prayers to his way because that seemed very gruesome. Same thing to Michael Parsons and any other players that got hurt this past week. A lot of
Puka
injuries.
Nakua.
But yeah, so many injuries. But the Kansas City Chiefs, it's definitely an interesting story. Talk to me about your thoughts and feelings on this game, Nick, because I mean, a lot of people expected the fall off, but my goodness, this early? I didn't expect this.
I do not expect the Chiefs to be eliminated with 3 games left, but everything just fell to their tuition Sunday afternoon. Everything just fell into place. One, they lost, which didn't help. I think Buffalo won. Uh, Chicago won, and Green Bay won. So as you were playing at, because they played, were they the 4 o'clock game? Chiefs, or were they the 1 o'clock slate? I don't remember here on my sheet. Kansas City, Kansas City, Kansas City. They were the 1 o'clock
One
slate.
o'clock, yeah.
So they were mixed in with this thing that everybody was watching. That if you didn't win, you had to count on a lot of help. Again, when you get into that risky scenario, it just doesn't work out in the end, as always. Thoughts and prayers again go out to Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to say that the um, air is dry or sell in Kansas City. It just happened to be an unfortunate year this year that this is how it came down. There were a lot of risky injuries. There was a lot of risky plays. There was a lot of aggressiveness. And in the end, they just didn't capitulate on a lot of items. On turnovers, they were a heavily penalized team this year, something that we normally don't see, which definitely you have to take into consideration. But it's actually very refreshing that there's no Joe Burrow, there's no Patrick Mahomes, and most likely there's probably not going to be a Lamar Jackson. This my instincts is what I'm feeling here. When you have some of the top 3 QBs out of the playoffs, it really makes football interesting. Who's really going to win in the end?
Yeah, this is the year for other players to step up. And if you're Josh Allen, the Super Bowl window might be closed because Kansas City is finally out, but you can't even really you can barely get wins over Drake May and the New England Patriots. Now you got another team standing in your way. So you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. The New England Patriots, they're coming to town, damn it. So you better watch out. But no, in all seriousness, the Buffalo Bills, this is the year for them to capitalize. Talking Kansas City, though, everything that Nick Brown said is accurate. Patrick Mahomes has been amazing. Patrick Mahomes, we're wishing him nothing but the best and prayers. But it is going to be finally interesting to see a new team and new players be able to find their footing in the playoffs, make a name for themselves, and possibly take the Lombardi home. I don't want to go as far as to say the Chiefs dynasty is over, though. I feel like a lot of people are throwing around that term loosely. The Chiefs dynasty is over. They're eliminated. Is it? Because need I remind you, during the New England Patriots dynasty, there was a year Tom Brady went down with an injury. What happened? Matt Castle was the quarterback. Yeah, they still were successful in the regular season, but they didn't go anywhere in the postseason. And what happened? Tom Brady came back and won two more Super Bowls after that. So it's not like, in my opinion, the Chiefs dynasty is over. The Broncos are taking over. The Chargers are taking over. They definitely are here. They're good now. They're going to be threats. But is the dynasty itself over? Is Patrick Mahomes' tenure as the best quarterback in football over? I don't believe it is. I believe this is just a bump in the road. Yeah, the season sucks. You got penalized almost every single play of every single game. That's going to end your season. Rashee Rice being down for the first several weeks, that hurt your team. Worthy being on and off the field, the lack of establishing a run game, the defense being subpar some games. There's a lot of factors that go into why the Chiefs weren't good. Patrick Mahomes getting the ACL injury was just the icing on the cake, the cherry on top to saying, hey, the season's over. So if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, just play the season out the rest of it as is. I hope Travis Kelce still sticks around for another year so he doesn't go out like this because what a bad season to go out on. But at the end of the day, Nick, I don't believe the theories that everyone's putting online that this dynasty's over. I wouldn't go that far, but this is definitely a change up for the franchise. They got to figure things out going in the next year. But guess what? If the Patriots and Tom Brady were able to do it, I don't see why the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid can't do it.
Every team that has been eliminated so far, very curious on how where the Raiders proceed. Do they still stick with Kenny Pickett? Where do the Jets proceed in Aaron Glenn? Where do the Cardinals stand? Is Kyle Murray really going to come back? What's Detroit Lions going to do? They're too aggressive. This head coach, the air is stale there. Carolina Panthers. Okay. Tennessee Titans. You can't even win. I think you won one game out of the whole season. Where's this two? Where's this franchise going? Indianapolis Colts. You bring in a grandpa as a QB. Come on. You're
Hey,
telling me
shout out to Philip Rivers.
that's your best bet? Minnesota Vikings. I'm just not getting the vibe over there. And the Miami Dolphins. Is this Tua's last year? He
Might be.
didn't really perform up to expectations. He's been out with so many concussions. One more, he's probably going to be done with football. What's going on over with Denver? They've had an up season. New England, they've had an up season. The Eagles are on like this tipsy topsy right now. Is they perform well, they fall off. They perform well, you fall off. I don't have a lot of faith going into this postseason saying, hey, this team is probably going to make it to the Super Bowl and win it. Every team has an issue that currently is that are in the playoffs right now as we head into week 16. They're in the playoffs. There's an issue along each team that you better find out before round two in the playoffs because if you don't get the kinks out first round of the playoffs, you can kiss goodnight and go home. There's a lot of kinks around here, Austin, that New England. How can you be 10-2? I think I saw a stat, 10-3. I think I saw a stat that they've only had two wins with teams over 500. That's concerning. If you're riding on this high and mighty court right now, you only have beat a team that has above 500, two. Everybody else, you can't. I mean, like playing Carlington football. I don't know, high school football.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Why are we taking shots at Carlington here? Whoa.
You pick a football team around here that's bad. Maybe it's Carlington. Just
It is Carlington. It is. I'll give you the credit there. Carlington's awful.
like you see what I mean here. This is just like a very head scratching of an off season and even postseason too for this time that maybe you wouldn't have guessed. New England riding high, but is really Drake May the answer? Is you're telling me Drake May has only won 2 games with above 500? That's concerning.
Is it concerning though? Because I mean, what if he lost all those games? Wouldn't we say that's worse?
Yes and no. Like, see, you can debate that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, if because here's the thing, we're getting on Drake May for saying that he won all these games over 500. But what if he came out here and he lost even half of those games? If he even lost multiple of those games of teams that's under 500, we're going to look at Drake May and be like, oh, dude, how can we trust you in the playoffs if you can't even beat the teams under 500? He's actually beating those teams. I mean, it's not his fault that the schedule was made like that. He's just playing the games. And let's not forget, one of those teams that he beat that was over 500 is the Bills. That's
No,
still
you
a big
can
win.
you can kiss the Cleveland Browns goodnight. I'm done talking about that franchise. That franchise has been collapsing and will continue to collapse.
They've been collapsing before we've been alive.
There's just no interest in Cleveland.
No,
I,
not at all.
no.
No, it's certainly going to be an interesting time, though, but there's a lot of other NFL topics we'll certainly get into next week as well. Don't you worry about that. But what a great episode that we had, Nick Brown. I mean, this is 53 episodes now of Steel City Commuters. Cowboys odds, we've seen the evolution of it over the last couple of years or so. A lot of interesting episodes going into the new year. Of course, we'll do a big recap on that in the last week of December. With that all being said, though, Nick Brown, any final words that you have for our audience out there before we let them go?
Keep sticking with football. Keep sticking with our podcast. There's a lot of content to come. I got 9 correct this week in football. Probably not going to let me win the polls, but we'll see what next week brings. Week 16 will shape up to be an interesting one. This is when the time for upsets start to happen, and I really enjoy it.
Certainly will be. Well, with that all being said, Nick Brown, it's always great having you on the podcast. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, next week we'll be back in studio for Steel City Commuters. Nick Brown and I will be joined with a former two Jagoffs guest. You're not going to want to miss it, excuse me. New episode of Two Jagoffs NFL Weekly Predictions out on Thursday, and of course, Psychedelic Dreams on Sunday. Of course, Austin Cairns. That is Nicholas Brown. Until next time, see you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.